your presenter for this afternoon's workshop, Canadian Workplace Competencies. I've had the pleasure of providing employment services to internationally trained professionals for the past 15 plus years, and I'm currently the mentor coach with Humber College, Community Outreach and Workforce Development. Today I'm excited about the opportunity to talk to you about the workplace competencies for new Canadians. So welcome everyone. I would recommend that you have a pen and paper handy to jot down any pertinent information and for upcoming reflection exercises that will assist you further in your understanding of workplace culture. Also note that I have allowed a question and answer period at the end of the presentation and would be happy to answer any questions before we get started. If not, we can go ahead and do so. I guess we're okay to start.
Yeah.
Agenda. Workplace culture. We're going to define that today. We're also going to talk about characteristics and organizational behavior of workplace culture, workplace competencies, its types and how it's measured. We're going to introduce you with some resources that you can hopefully take with you, wrap up, and of course a question answer period. What is workplace culture? Workplace culture encompasses many different characteristics of business. I want you to reflect for a moment, and I want you to think about the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the words workplace culture. Don't ponder too long, make it quick, and use the paper in front of you to jot down your responses as quickly as possible. And try not to overthink this. And when I asked several colleagues with diverse backgrounds what workplace culture meant to them, this is what they said. Quality, commitment, expectations, respect, trust, ethics, integrity, opportunities, goals, diversity, creativity, accountability, decision-making, communication, teamwork, and values. Which one of those resonated with you? What is workplace culture? For a clearer understanding, I have divided the definition as follows. What is workplace in workplace culture? Workplace is where the business owner sets the pace for creating, defining, and refining the company culture. Many of North America's and Canada's most influential organizations set their tone from the top to the middle to the bottom. Simply said, and what I mean by this, is that research shows that successful organizations will ensure that organizational practices are in place at all levels. That is, from the CEO to department managers to frontline workers. I'd like you to reflect for a moment, and I'm going to be doing this on and off in the next few minutes. Listeners, reflect on a previous company that you worked at. What organizational levels existed and how did it impact you? Think about that for a moment as we transfer to the next slide. What is workplace culture and what is the culture in workplace culture? I found that this was the best definition that actually described newcomers and how they fit into this new Canadian environment. Culture is a set of unwritten rules, habits, and expectations manifested in how the business looks and how employees dress, their attitude and how they present themselves, how they set goals, and how they communicate business values. So to recap, workplace culture is where the business owner sets the pace for creating, defining, and refining the company culture using a set of unwritten rules, habits, and expectations. Organizations all over the world share commonalities and differences. And in Canada, characteristics that define workplace culture are composed of 7 characteristics that range in priority for different organizations. According to organizational behavioral literature, these include innovation, attention to detail, emphasis on outcome, emphasis on people, teamwork, aggressiveness, and stability. Having worked one-on-one with newcomers, defining these further and relating them to international companies may deepen your understanding of how to prepare more effectively in our quest for meaningful employment. The following diagram is a visual depiction outlining the workplace culture cycle and its characteristics. So study the diagram, and again, listeners, without having defined the cycle further, ask yourselves, where do you feel your last employer falls in this cycle? Just take a moment to ponder that. Innovation, attention to detail, outcome, people, team, aggressiveness, or stability. Which characteristic best describes your employer? Characteristic number 1, which is innovation or risk orientation. Flexible and adaptable, and they often experiment with new ideas. They are often seen as having a flat hierarchy, and titles and status are downplayed. Innovative companies in this category include Apple, Google, Instagram, Alibaba, and Indigo. Most importantly is what these organizations represent. For example, Apple is best known for their ability to create hardware and software that is timeless, including the iPhone, the iPad, and the MacBook, making it one of the most profitable companies today. Consequently, Google is home to the most successful search engine in the world and is known for giving their employees large range to be great, not only from the top down, but as we discussed, also from the bottom up. Additionally, Instagram is the gateway to the fashion industry for men and women around the globe, while Alibaba's Jack Ma has successfully become the world's largest online retailer. Lastly, India's largest airline company, Indigo, has innovatively lowered airfare costs more than any other low-cost carrier in the world without compromising quality. They offer quick turnaround flights, reduce entry times with better ramps, and have more efficient systems than any other airline offering the same. Characteristic 2, attention to detail, which we also refer to as a precision-oriented company. They offer a high degree of accuracy in the workplace and place high value on attention to detail. The most obvious precision-oriented industry is the hospitality industry. Companies such as the Four Seasons, the Ritz-Carlton, are known for their strong ability to exceed customer expectation by enhancing attention to detail. For example, their use of in-house databases to maintain records for customers' requests, including preferred newspaper, pillow types, etc., which means return business and higher expectations. Number 3, emphasis on outcome, achievement orientation. This type of employer is achievement-based, results-based, and actions are important values. Employees are trained, mentored to sell company products effectively, and they are evaluated and rewarded based on results and fulfillment of clearly outlined objectives. A company most widely known for their achievement-based orientation is Best Buy. They implemented an evaluation process referred to as ROWE, an acronym that stands for Results Oriented Work Environment. And what this did was motivate their employers by determining who sold more. And of course, the person who sold more was the person who actually gained more financial incentive. Number 4, an emphasis on people or fairness. They value fairness, supportiveness, and respect for individual rights. They create an atmosphere where work is fun and place a huge emphasis on treating people with fairness and dignity. This people-oriented company is not only known for responsibly grown and fair trade coffee, Starbucks Corporation is also recognized for offering its employees a great benefit package, an above minimum wage salary, and tuition reimbursement to full and part-time employees, thus making them a favorable company to work for. The result? Lower turnover rates and more satisfied customers. Number 5, teamwork, collaboration. Organize work activities around teams instead of individuals. Train employees to help each other when needed. Encourage positive relationships with coworkers or management. And one example of this is Southwest Airlines, who believe that collaboration and treating others the way you wish to be treated is the way to do business. By collaborating as a team, Southwest Airlines has been able to provide their customers with excellent service and quick turnaround times. Number 6, aggressiveness, competition. These companies value competitive and outperforming competitors. They use language such as we will kill our competition. They show negative behaviors through commercials and social media. And most often we see these ad wars between organizations and companies such as Bing versus Google, Audi versus BMW, Apple versus Samsung, McDonald's versus Burger King, or Pepsi versus Coke. And I'm sure you've all seen that. Number 7, stability or rule orientation. These are companies who are predictable, rule-oriented, structured, and bureaucratic. They coordinate individual effort for greatest levels of efficiency, and they're sometimes ridiculed from preventing action, changing environments, and stifling creativity. Public sector institutions are stable cultures that provide government service, and some of these government services include military, police, infrastructure, and etc. Kraft Canada, which is a private stable company, is an example of a company with centralized decision-making and rule orientation. And if you've followed the news lately, you would have seen that Kraft Canada has undergone a lot of change. And most recently, since Kraft's merger with H.J. Heinz, lots of change has actually occurred. And what we're seeing in the news is that more creativity and communication among the staff has been implemented, and there's definitely more change to come. These are the 7 characteristics that best define organizational structure and behavior. And I'd like you now again to reflect, listeners, reflect on examples from your previous place of employment that displayed all or any of the 7 characteristics discussed. What kind of company did you work for, or do you currently work for? Workplace competencies can be placed in 2 categories, both behavioral and technical. I want to give you an example here. Behavioral competencies, for example, for a team leader may include the ability to work confidentially, inspire others, and submit monthly reports on time. Where corresponding technical competencies for a team leader may include written communication skills, knowledge of procedures, and an ability to resolve conflict. Having said that, if we take a look at this formula, attributes, behaviors, plus skills, which are both behavioral competencies, equal individual effectiveness, technical competencies. Consequently, we have addressed workplace culture characteristics, and at this time I also would like to point out how important it is to break down the competencies into types for a deeper understanding of Canadian business models. The 3 competency types include values-based competency, or the core, leadership competencies, and functional competencies. These types are the fundamental core ingredients that make an organization successful, and I'd like to review them further in the following definitions. Values-based competency is the type of company you want to be. Leadership competencies often assess an individual's ability and skills, how much energy do they have, how well do they communicate, etc. Functional competencies often pertain to a particular job function. For example, specific skills required for the job at hand. So, how is competency measured? Organizations typically use outlines to structure, design, and measure success. At varying time intervals, companies or organizations continuously review and assess the following. Job design. Is the current model still working? Operational procedures. Are rules, procedures, and protocol being followed and is quality maintained? Employee performance. Are employees thriving? If not, assess why. Employee training. Do employees require additional training to carry out existing and new tasks? And finally, recruitment, which we're going to be addressing again in the next slide. Are there people out there who can add a new dimension to the organization through innovation or expertise? Are the existing organizational goals and objectives attainable with the existing staff model? And newcomers, you can capitalize here by understanding labor market trends and showing some creativity. So attention, newcomers, and for all of you in the crowd today, the recruitment process is vital. Follow these 7 steps and get hired. Get organized. Familiarize yourself with your surroundings. Purchase appropriate work attire and be technically prepared with a phone, voicemail, email, and computer. Assess your skills. Review and test your qualifications. Test your language skills. Talk to your professional association and evaluate your degrees if required. Identify what you can offer personally, technically, and transferably. Understand what these skills mean and research. Match your skills to the job market. Research job postings, labor market demands, availability, technical requirements, and any requirements you don't understand. Create a resume and identify what types of jobs you are able to seek now. Network. Talk to everyone and take notes. Arrange informational interviews with people in your field. Join associations. Attend events, both personal and professional. Find a mentor. Find someone who can coach or mentor you. There are programs such as the Mentoring Partnership that helps skilled immigrants connect to meaningful employment by being matched to employers in their field. Volunteer or shadow someone. Volunteer your time and get a feel for employers' expectations for yourself. Apply. Familiarize yourself with online applications and apply to employers hiring in your field. Which takes us to the end of the presentation. In summary, understanding workplace culture has many facets. In this webinar, we reviewed organizational behavior in Canada, we defined the workplace culture, and we looked at workplace competencies in detail. The reflection exercises also assisted in understanding the similarity and differences in business models in Canada and abroad. I am confident that the following 7 key steps are viable tips for you to use as you work towards your short and long-term goals. Be aware. Familiarize yourself with workplace culture, social cues, and expectations. Review your credentials, language terminology, etc. Self-assess, language proficiency, skills. Know the labor market. Read, ask, observe. Get support, mentoring, bridging programs, networking, volunteering, internships, EO programs. That's Employment Ontario programs. Research, education, and training. Review job postings. Attend job fairs. Be job ready. Actively apply for jobs using a marketable resume. Prepare effectively for interviews. Don't forget to take the time to step back and look through the camera lens and observe. Observe conversations, body language, verbal language, and the manners in which communication is relayed. Observe how people dress, how they walk, how they interact with one another, and how they resolve conflict. Take mental notes and don't forget to ask questions. Additionally, I have compiled and categorized relevant resources for you to use as you embark on this journey. The City of Toronto, Settlement, New to Canada, and Employment and Training Services for Newcomers are good websites to get started with. Feel free to take a snapshot of these and the upcoming websites for quick referral. I know they're going to be available to you at some point in the future as well. For those not certain about your language competencies, refer to the following language resources such as the YMCA, OSLT, and ELT. And for those who need to conduct research and wish to bridge the training gap, these resources will also prove beneficial. And lastly, learn more about the Canadian market by visiting the following sites. Know the Canadian market and identify where you belong in this market. And while you're on this new Canadian journey, don't forget to inspire and be inspired by you and I and once regular people such as Steve Jobs, Jack Ma, Thomas Edison, and Albert Einstein, who not only took risks but demonstrated persistence, dedication, and leadership. Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow know what you truly want to become. At this time, I would like to open the floor for any questions. Please.
Okay. One question did come in, Maggie. It's Janet, and they're asking for a copy of the PowerPoint. So again, they will be put on the website in due course. If you need one immediately, you can send me an email, and Maggie is going to be sending that to me anyway to work with, and we can get that to you. So we
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we'll just wait a few minutes and see if there are any other questions. That was very informative. So if people just want to go into the questions panel and post questions, with the proverbial we, Maggie and I, Maggie will be pleased to answer any questions you may have. So we'll just give it a few more minutes, Maggie. But that was great, Maggie. It was very informative, and I think it's a great start for a newcomer who's.
Thank you, Janet.
Yes, I think it's very good. So no questions so far. Cool. So my email address would have been on the invitation that you had received to participate in this webinar, but it's jashford@cses.co. So again, jashford@cses.co. And I'm just going to do this, but I mean, I don't think we need to bother Maggie with putting out these copies of these presentations. If you have any questions that are really pertinent and that she seems to be the expert on, I can certainly forward to her as well. Yeah. So that's it. I don't think we have any other questions that have come in.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for listening, everyone.